Riley and I finally got around to watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I'm going to give you my review. We're going to go over non-spoilers. Then we'll move over to spoilers for all of you that do not wish to be spoiled. Fear not, the first part of this review, just like my other movie, TV show reviews on this channel, are non-spoiler, then quickly followed by spoilers. But I will warn you in advance so that you will not unintentionally get spoiled. So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness had a $200 million budget. So far, the box office, quite well, $532 million. The runtime was 126 minutes. Of course, if you go to a movie theater nowadays, the first 25 minutes you have to tack on. So I'm going to add 25 minutes to the 126-minute runtime for all the trailers and a few commercials in between the trailers that appeared prior to the movie starting. So yeah, that's one gripe I have with theaters. You buy the tickets, you pay for popcorn as well as nachos in my case, and then you have to sit there for 25 minutes before the movie even starts. Anyways, so Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is a sequel to Doctor Strange, a different doctor. It's set after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, yet there doesn't seem to be too much of a connection between the two. I'll talk more about that in spoilers. And it's also a sequel to the Disney Plus short-lived miniseries WandaVision, which focused on Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch. It also ties into other movies in the MCU as well, obviously. The Avenger films, you get the idea. It was directed by the legendary Sam Raimi, best known for directing Evil Dead, along with Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, and a lot of other awesome films that he has directed over the past few decades. The score is by someone else that's quite legendary, composer Danny Elfman. Beetlejuice, Batman Returns, Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, and many other awesome titles, movie, TV show scores have been done by Danny Elfman. So far, a good start. The teams behind this movie was obviously Marvel Studios and Disney, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda, Scarlet Witch, Benedict Wong as Wong, Rachel McAdams as Christine, newcomer Xochitl Gomez, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She played America Gomez, and there's other characters and cameos throughout the movie that I will not mention in the non-spoiler section. So let's talk about non-spoilers real quick before we move on to spoilers. Doctor Strange finds himself going into the multiverse in order to stop a villain. I really can't say much else at this point in time, but there's definitely a lot of versions, a lot of different universes, different Earths, different versions of characters involved. And a lot of things happen throughout this movie. You really need to be paying attention from start to finish because there's a lot happening from start to finish. You might miss something if you step out. And it's definitely a Sam Raimi movie. It had a lot of Evil Dead vibes to it. Great performances by both Benedict Cumberbatch as well as Benedict Wong and, of course, Elizabeth Olsen. The other actors and actresses did a decent job as well, more or less. But I'm going to be honest, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was, for me, a mixed bag. It's definitely not the worst of the MCU films, far from it, but it's nowhere near the best of the MCU. Now, if I was to compare it with some of the more recent comic book movies that have come out over the past several months, I guess I would rank it at the top, Spider-Man, and right beneath that would be the Batman. By the way, I did do a Batman review. Feel free and check it out. And then below the Batman in third place, I would put Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, followed by Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. And in fifth place, fourth place is Venom 2. And then fifth place would be Morbius, which I also did a review of Morbius. I'll put those reviews below in the description section for the Batman and Morbius. So of those 5 comic book themed films I've seen over the past few months with Riley, Morbius is definitely the worst. Spider-Man is the best. And we find Doctor Strange somewhere in the middle in third place. If you're a Doctor Strange Scarlet Witch fan, you'll definitely want to go check out Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They're obviously both get a lot of roles, a lot of time on screen, and there's interesting character developments for both those characters. Plus, there's some time with Christine, played by the lovely Rachel McAdams. Wong does a great job as always. And we also have the introduction of America. And there's also some cameos that I will allude to and mention in the spoilers section. But if you're not really a Wanda or Doctor Strange fan, you may want to shy away from going to the theaters to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness until it comes out on Disney Plus, and just watch it there if you happen to have Disney Plus. Like I said, it's far from the worst of the MCU films, and it's definitely a Sam Raimi film with an awesome score by Danny Elfman, and the budget was really good. The performances were awesome, but it's definitely far from the best of the MCU. There were a lot of things I liked about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but there were also some other issues that I will try to cover in the spoiler section, which we are heading into right now. You've been warned. Since this is dealing with the multiverse, many universes, many Earths, you're going to have several variations of characters, so you need to keep up with which character is which. It opens with a new version of Doctor Strange. Him and America Chavez are introduced, and they're running from this demon that's trying to capture America Chavez. And this Doctor Strange is trying to get to this book, this MacGuffin, that will give him some sort of ability, some sort of power to defeat the demon or whoever's behind the demon. But unfortunately, he's not able to get to the book. It's just out of reach. And it's the demon's trying to get America Chavez for her powers. And so this version of Strange deduces that the only way that he can stop the demon or whoever's behind this demon is to take the power away from America Chavez, thus killing her. But he doesn't get the opportunity because this demon ends up impaling the first version of Doctor Strange that we encounter in the movie. And then America Chavez gets away. She escapes with her power to jump through dimensions. And then our MCU version of Doctor Strange wakes up. It turns out that dreams are gateways to our other selves in other universes on different Earths. So just bear that in mind. Dreams do play an important role throughout the movie. So Doctor Strange wakes up and he dreams that he had this encounter with America Chavez, even though he hasn't met her yet, while they were trying to get this MacGuffin book, being chased by this demon. And so he just brushes it off as a dream. He heads off to Christina's wedding because she's getting married to some other dude. No, not Doctor Strange. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out, even though obviously he still has feelings for her. America Chavez actually ends up in the MCU being pursued by another creature, a giant octopus-like creature, while Doctor Strange is at Christine's wedding. So he ends up hearing a commotion outside. Cars are crashing, people running and screaming for their lives. And so Doctor Strange throws on the cape and goes after this invisible creature. He reveals it to be this giant one-eyed octopus-like Cthulhu creature. And then Wong, who is the Sorcerer Supreme, he shows up. They get into a fight with the giant octopus, and then they eventually kill the giant octopus, saving America Chavez. Afterwards, they're sitting at a diner. I think she's eating pizza, and they're talking about Spider-Man. It's interesting that Spider-Man didn't show up because this is New York. I realize it's a big place, and maybe Spider-Man was in school at the time, or maybe he was busy working, and he just didn't have a chance to get all the way over there to help Doctor Strange and Wong stop the octopus. Maybe he showed up too late. It would have been cool if there was a cameo, but there was not a Spider-Man cameo. Even though Spider-Man is mentioned, there's no real connection to what transpired in Far From Home, which also involved a multiverse. So it's not really confirmed or debunked that multiverse is what causes the events in this film. I feel like after watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that you could watch this film by itself and never watch Spider-Man, because I don't think one is connected to the other. Yes, the events that happen in the Avengers are connected, just like what happens in WandaVision is connected, as well as the previous Doctor Strange movie, but it does feel like that Sony wall is preventing the events that occurred in Spider-Man from affecting what's happening in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. However, there is some multiverse stuff that is a consequence at the end of the Morbius movie, FYI. So while they're dining, Wong, Doctor Strange, along with America, she lets them know that she has this uncontrollable power. She has this ability to jump across universes, and that's what this shadowy villain is after, and it's determined to be some sort of witchcraft that is behind it all. And so Doctor Strange goes to the one Avenger that happens to be knowledgeable when it comes to witchcraft, which is Wanda, who's having a dream about her boys from WandaVision. So in WandaVision, in case you're not familiar with what happened in that miniseries, she ends up basically taking over a small town. I think it's in New Jersey, brainwashing almost everybody. She steals Vision's body because he was killed by Thanos in Infinity War, and then she basically brings Vision back to life, more or less, and they end up having two sons. All that's undone by the end of the miniseries, and I think there's a version of Vision that flies off, and the sons, I think they disappear, if I remember correctly. But in Wanda's mind, in her dreams, the boys still exist somewhere out there in the multiverse. Strange goes to Wanda asking for her help, but it turns out that Wanda is the villain all along. I mean, it's revealed pretty early in the movie that Scarlet Witch is the one that is after America Chavez. She's the one that has been sending demons throughout the multiverse with this book, this other book, not the book we were talking about the moment ago, the MacGuffin, the Darkhold, as it's called. I guess it's a dark evil book, like the Necronomicon, another Sam Raimi reference. And she's using the book in order to try to get a hold of America Chavez, harvest her powers so that she can jump multiverses in order to find those sons that belong to a different Wanda so she can actually be a mom. Wanda tells Strange to hand over America, and Strange refuses. She gives them an ultimatum, and so there's this battle between the sorcerers, which includes Strange, Wong, a whole bunch of other sorcerers as well. Scarlet Witch shows up, a battle ensues, and some of the sorcerers, I think, get away, or at least the trainees are the initiates. I think they're shooed off to safety, but most of the other sorcerers are destroyed by Scarlet Witch. In other words, Scarlet Witch is the villain of this movie from start to finish. And despite Strange's and Wong's best efforts, Scarlet Witch does manage to take down most of the sorcerers, and she almost captures America Chavez, except for the fact that America Chavez has that power that she can't control to jump multiverses, and she manages to jump multiverses along with Strange to a completely different Earth, and they actually go to different variations, different universes, which is a quite interesting cinematic that happens, showing that there are multiverses out there. And once they make it to this other Earth, they think that they're safe from Scarlet Witch, but they actually aren't, because Scarlet Witch has the ability to use the Darkhold, this evil book, in order to take possession of her other self that's on this other Earth, this other multiverse. We'll just call this Wanda that she's going to eventually possess Good Wanda, or Mama Wanda, which happens to be the same Wanda that has the boys IRL, the boys that Scarlet Witch Wanda is after and willing to do anything in order to get, just so she can be Mom of the Year. Strange and America find themselves in the presence of the Sorcerer Supreme of this version of Earth, which is Mordo. He was an antagonist in the first Doctor Strange movie, but this version of Mordo is the Sorcerer Supreme, because Doctor Strange was killed fighting Thanos in this reality. Mordo is aware of the Scarlet Witch and what she's been doing to other universes, and so he ends up drugging the tea that Strange and America's drinking, and they get captured by the Illuminati. No, not the New World Order. They're basically this Earth's versions of the Avengers, and Mordo is part of the Illuminati, along with other Christine. Yes, there is another Christine, and she's like a doctor, and she's an expert in the multiverses. Strange and America each wake up in separate cages, and then Mordo shows up with some sentries, some robots that look like Ultron, and they take Strange to see the Illuminati. He has these handcuffs that prevent him from using his powers, and so the Illuminati's like standing before him in this like ancient Greek-looking room. And the Illuminati includes a version of Captain Marvel. I think it's played by Rambo. So Rambo is Captain Marvel in this universe. And Captain Carter, yes, Captain Carter. You have Captain Carter confirmed in the multiverse. Played, of course, by the lovely Haley Atwell. One of the Fantastic Four members, I think he's the one that does the stretching. I'm not an expert when it comes to Fantastic Four. I never cared for Fantastic Four. But one of the members is part of the Illuminati. You have Black Bolt, who is this dude that has this deadly voice. So he never talks, because if he does talk, his voice is so high-pitched that it can actually kill you. And the leader of the Illuminati is Professor X, played by Sir Patrick Stewart. And the cool part about this scene is they play the X-Men TV theme, well, like a version of the X-Men TV theme from the 90s, because I love the animated TV series, and I remember that theme. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So you hear it, and you see this yellow-looking X-Men wheelchair rolling up with Charles Xavier. So there's a version of Charles Xavier that is the leader of the Illuminati on this version of Earth. So this is, I guess, MCU's way of slowly bringing the X-Men into the MCU. The Illuminati reveals to Doctor Strange that they had to kill this version of Doctor Strange because he was using the Darkhold to fight Thanos, and it was causing problems. So after they killed Thanos, Black Bolt killed Strange, the other version of Strange that was part of the Illuminati. So Illuminati Strange gets killed for using the Darkhold and causing problems, even after they managed to successfully kill Thanos. Scarlet Witch manages to take possession of good Wanda, and she leaves the boys behind, even though there is like a moment between her and her boys. So you see like some good still in Scarlet Witch, even though she's traveled across the multiverse. Her body's still on like the MCU Earth, but she has the Darkhold, which has allowed her to go across the multiverse in order to find Doctor Strange in America, and good Wanda and the boys that she wants in order to be Mother of the Year or Mother of the Century or Millennium. She takes possession of good Wanda and goes to the Illuminati, and a fight breaks out, and she destroys most of the sentries that look like Ultron. Most of the Illuminati head off to confront Scarlet Witch, and she quickly kills the Fantastic Four Stretch dude, as well as Black Bolt, by making his mouth disappear. So when he uses his ability against Scarlet Witch, it basically blows up his head. So 2 down, and now you have Captain Carter and Captain Marvel. The captains are now engaging Scarlet Witch in battle. Meanwhile, back inside the Illuminati chamber, you still have Professor X as well as Mordo. And Professor X has looked into this Doctor Strange's mind and is convinced that he is a good man, and he wants Doctor Strange to take America and run and flee and get the hell out of there before Scarlet Witch gets her hands on America's powers. A fist fight breaks out between Mordo and Doctor Strange, and Professor X goes to try to stall Scarlet Witch after Scarlet Witch has unfortunately killed Captain Carter. Rest in peace, Captain Carter, and slammed a giant statue on top of the other Captain Marvel. He gets into Scarlet Witch's mind, and he's trying to rescue good Wanda, who's still trapped inside. He manages to use his mind powers to try to bring out good Wanda, who's been taken possession of by the Scarlet Witch, and also by Christine and America time to get away and reunite with Strange. But ultimately, Scarlet Witch manages to break Professor Xavier's neck. So the only surviving Illuminati member ends up being Mordo. And possibly the Rambo version of Captain Marvel, because all that was dropped on her was a freaking statue. I'm sure that Captain Marvel and the MCU could survive that, right? There's a chase scene that happens with Strange, Christine, along with America being pursued by possessed Wanda. They manage to give her the slip, and they end up in the, the transit area of the multiverse. And just as Doctor Strange is about to get his hands on the MacGuffin book, of course, possessed Wanda shows up and destroys the MacGuffin. America is captured, and Doctor Strange and other Christine are sent to another universe, another version of Earth that's been completely foobarred, by the way, while Scarlet Witch takes America and uses America's powers to get back to the MCU version of Earth in order to take her powers. Foobarred Earth, as I like to call it, is an Earth that's been completely screwed up by evil Doctor Strange. There's another Doctor Strange. This one's I guess he's Strange Supreme or Dark. I don't know which his official comic book name is, but I think it's Strange Supreme. They never call him that. He's just a different version of Doctor Strange that became a little too obsessed with the Darkhold, similar to Scarlet Witch, and it drove him mad. He became obsessed with trying to find a version of Christine so that he could be happy, because happiness is the thing in this storyline. Doctor Strange's quest to be happy, Scarlet Witch's desire to be happy by, having some sons. A fight breaks out between the MCU Doctor Strange and evil Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange has had dreams of killing other Doctor Stranges. So evil Doctor Strange has been going into the multiverse, pushing other Doctor Stranges off tall buildings, and ironically, evil Doctor Strange is killed that way by our Doctor Strange. So he ends up falling onto a fence and dies. And by the way, the evil Doctor Strange, because of, I guess, the amount of time he spent with the Darkhold, he has a third eye. Rip evil Doctor Strange, or Strange Supreme, or whatever he's called. Now we have MCU Strange left. He's going to use the Darkhold along with Christine's help to protect his body, while he transfers over into the dead Strange that we first encountered at the beginning of the movie, because his dead body ended up being transported to the MCU Earth. It got buried by Doctor Strange after the fight with the octopus. I forgot to mention that. Apologies. So he basically transfers his essence into the dead version of Doctor Strange that came with America, becoming Zombie Strange. And the dead don't like this too much. The damned actually tried to stop both Zombie Strange and Doctor Strange at the same time. But Christine happens to find this, this ghost demon, jar bazooka thing, convenience, right? And she uses it to repel the damned, the demons. And she convinces Doctor Strange that he can take control of the damned. And he does manage to take control of the damned and uses them in his fight against Scarlet Witch. And Wong ends up joining the fight. He's basically all but left for dead by Scarlet Witch, knocked off the top of her Scarlet Witch temple on top of this mountain. She has what appears to be cave trolls guarding him with glowing red eyes. So a fight breaks out between Wong, Zombie Strange against Scarlet Witch. They're trying to save America. She's on this sacrificial altar, about to be, I guess, drained of her power by Scarlet Witch. And even though Wong and Zombie Strange managed to contain Scarlet Witch is still breaking free, and Zombie Strange convinces America that she can control her powers. By the way, the reason why her powers began, I forgot to mention this, is there's this memory thing you can step on in the other Earth. Both Strange stood on it, and there was a memory of him and Christine where she gave him a watch because he used to love watches and fast cars. And then when America steps on it, she has a vision of her moms. Her moms obviously are lesbians. By the way, I want to hit the pause button real quick on this one and applaud Marvel and DC for actually saying no to Saudi Arabia this time, because other times they've tried to put quote-unquote representation in their movies when it comes to China and other countries that are very anti-LGBTQ. They've bent the knee and conveniently edited out scenes from Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker. There was a lesbian kiss in the background that was conveniently edited out. There's a few other movies that faced the same fate. So it was obvious that at the time Disney, Marvel cared more about making money in the Chinese markets and the Middle Eastern markets, and were willing to virtue signal in America and the West But the truth is, all they really care about is money. I mean, that's the reality. They care more about money. But in this case, they stuck to their guns because an important part of America Chavez's character, her background, is her parents are moms. You know, they're lesbians. So you can't remove that from her character. Once again, kudos to Marvel and Disney for doing the right thing. I don't have a problem with representation, by the way, but if you're going to do representation, big movie studios, you got to stick to your guns. Whenever you bend the knee to China and Saudi Arabia and other countries out there, it shows that all you care about is money and you're just doing it for the sake of virtue signaling. The reason why I brought that scene up is because it's important. It's part of America's character development. The first time she used her powers is because she was a little girl on her own planet in a different universe. Her mothers were there, and I think a bee or a wasp landed on younger America. It frightened her, and that's when her powers were first used. And to her horror, she unintentionally sent her mothers through into another universe or another Earth. As far as she knew, she may have unintentionally killed her mothers, but Doctor Strange does reassure America that she most likely did not kill her mothers and that they were strong and they probably ended up somewhere. They survived, and hopefully one day America will see her mothers again. So that was a really good moment between Doctor Strange and America. Just thought I would bring that up real quick. Anyways, back on topic. So you have Scarlet Witch trying to be contained by Wong and Zombie Strange. Of course, she's about to break free. And then America Chavez is encouraged by Zombie Strange that she can control her power. And in an effort to save Strange as well as Wong and her own life, she ends up fighting Wanda. And she nearly beats Wanda, but Wanda's just way too powerful, as you know, she's proven throughout the movie. I mean, so many people have been killed and so many universes destroyed because of Wanda's desire to get back to her boys, even though they never really were her boys to begin with. And what America manages to do is transport herself and Scarlet Witch back to the other Earth where Mama Wanda is, along with the two boys. The two boys freak out because that's not their mother. You know, they don't see this version of Wanda as their mom, and they're scared of her. They're terrified by her because she basically, I think she comes in attacking other Wanda because she's so obsessed with getting her hands on the boys. And I guess it takes the boys' fear of her and their love for their real mom to make Wanda realize that it was a bad move, even though Wong earlier was telling her the same thing. And, you know, this has been brought up once or twice throughout the movie. Like, this is not good, Wanda. You're making a mistake. You're just causing death and destruction to get back some boys that were never yours to begin with. So in the end, the revelation that she is the bad guy, just like near the end of Falling Down, she decides to try to do the right thing at the very end. She goes back to the MCU Earth with America and Strange, and I guess eventually Christine gets sent back to her Earth. And in the process, Scarlet Witch, Wanda, decides to destroy the Scarlet Witch temple, killing herself in the process, basically bringing down the temple upon her. And she also manages to destroy all the Darkhold books throughout the multiverse. As I mentioned already, America has now, I guess, started to control her power a little bit more. She goes and gets Christine and Strange, and I guess takes Christine back to her version of Earth, and Strange back to the MCU. And then there's, I guess, a small time jump back at the Sanctuary, and I guess the Initiates are training once again the sorcerers that managed to survive Scarlet Witch's attack. And America is training to become a sorcerer. And near the end of the movie, Doctor Strange is walking down the street, and there's some loud rock music, and I guess it's just too loud for his ears. And he gets on his knees, and it's revealed that he also has a third eye now because of his time spent with the Darkhold. Additional cameos included the legendary Bruce Campbell. He appeared a few times in the movie at the very end as well. And Charlize Theron, during a mid-credits scene, she appears as a future character in a future Doctor Strange movie. And since the movie has made over $530 million as of right now with a $200 million budget, I get the feeling there'll be at least one more Doctor Strange movie. Now, why do I feel like this movie is a mixed bag? I guess it revolves around Wanda as the villain. Yeah, I know Scarlet Witch can be bad, but at the same time, this version of Wanda has also tried to be good. And after the events of WandaVision, I didn't expect Wanda to be the main villain. I thought that we were going to have a team up between Doctor Strange as well as Wanda against Strange Supreme, which is also featured in the trailers. Despite being caught off guard, and that's one of the big reasons why I tried to avoid all the other trailers, I will say that thanks to Elizabeth Olsen's performance, Scarlet Witch was a really good main antagonist. However, after what happened in this movie, I have no sympathy for her character at all. I actually did have sympathy for Scarlet Witch after what happened at the end of Endgame, the fact that Vision was gone and everything she went through in WandaVision, even though she did take over a town, basically enslaving everybody in order to try and revive Vision and create her own family. I just felt like a redemption arc is what Scarlet Witch's character needed. And I don't really consider what happened at the very end of the film with her character to be a redemption arc, especially with all the death and destruction that was caused by her. You have people on multiple universes, multiple Earths killed that we probably will never know about, including our own version of Earth, the destruction that octopus creature carried out in New York before Strange and Wong stopped it, as well as all the sorcerers that were butchered in the battle against Scarlet Witch. And then we go over to Other Earth and all the Illuminati members that were heroes of Earth. They were basically the Avengers of Earth, the protectors of Earth. Most of them were killed. And then there's a scene that really ticked me off that she said in passing, how she felt nothing when she was forced to kill Vision in Infinity War. So why were you so angry with Thanos when you came back in Endgame? Why did you go through this whole arc in WandaVision if you felt nothing for Vision after being forced to kill him in order to stop him from grabbing the Time Stone at the end of Infinity War? It just didn't make sense to me. That line was horrible. Of course she felt something for Vision. They were on the run together. She was madly in love with him. She wanted to have a family and a normal life with Vision. That's what WandaVision was all about, and that illusion crashing down, causing destruction on multiple Earths, universes, killing countless people because she wanted to be reunited with kids that weren't actually hers. Wanda, if you wanted to be a mom so badly, how about adoption? Or meeting a new guy, or perhaps artificial insemination, or as Critical Drinker suggested in his review, it's a multiverse. There's other versions of those boys out there that might not have a mom. How about you go find them instead, especially since those boys you were after already had a mother, a really good version of you. She also talked about how she was being reasonable, destroying multiple universes, chasing a young girl that has multiverse jumping powers, killing several versions of Doctor Strange, the Illuminati, most of the sorcerers. Well, I mean, it was after that point that she stopped being quote-unquote reasonable. But everything before that, she was totally reasonable. Why not just simply just ask America Chavez through the multiverse for her help? Did that ever occur to you, Wanda? Just to be clear, I'm not blaming any of the actors or actresses. My gripe is basically with the writing itself. So you always have to separate the actors, actresses from the writing. And there was things I really liked about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I thought Sam Raimi overall did a great job directing it from start to finish. Definitely had an Evil Dead feel and vibe to it. Danny Elfman, awesome score as always. Plus, like I mentioned, I loved that little X-Men riff whenever Professor Xavier showed up. That was cool. But at the end of the day, I just feel like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness failed in several aspects. It's a very ambitious, to be fair, these multiverses and everything else connecting various shows and movies from the MCU. After a while, it does start to collapse upon itself. But I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the greatest of the MCU films. It was far from the worst. But I think what we're seeing right now with the MCU is probably the beginning of the end. Eternals didn't go over so well. Neither did Shang-Chi. And the next movie that I have to look forward to in the MCU is the new Thor film. And after that, I think a third Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't really care for Volume 2. Volume 1 was really good. Volume 2, even though it had Kurt Russell in it, not so much. But it has been a really, really impressive run by the MCU. And I just think that going into future phases, you're going to see interest in this continue to dwindle and die down, especially as they retire characters that help build up the MCU. Iron Man is now gone, the original Captain America, Black Widow, along with Hawkeye. Well, Hawkeye, you could take him or leave him, right? You have Thor. It's probably going to be his final battle as Thor coming up with Chris Hemsworth. And I think after the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that's probably going to be it for the Guardians. Sadly, Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us, but they're still making a new Black Panther movie, which I really don't understand, other than the first one made, what, $1 billion? It just feels like a cash grab opportunity. I just can't envision a Black Panther movie without Chadwick Boseman playing T'Challa, a.k.a. the Black Panther. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't really think too much about most of the Disney Plus shows. I heard Moon Knight was okay. The only one I actually watched was WandaVision, and it obviously had its moments, but it also had some failings as well. But if I was forced to either go back and watch Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Morbius, or Venom Let There Be Carnage again, if I had no choice but to watch one of those three in a theater again, I would definitely pick Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And that's my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There's definitely a lot of multiversing, a lot of madness going on, a lot of Sam Raimi Evil Dead vibes, and some great acting, but parts of the script and some arcs didn't really work out as planned. But for all of you that were here, thank you so much for watching my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And if you've also watched it, feel free and let me know, spoiler-free, your thoughts, your views, your opinions of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness below in the comments section.